Have you ever wondered why so many people seem to decline rapidly after turning 80? Even those who were active, sharp-minded, and full of vitality just a few years ago often seem to surrender all at once. Why is that? Some say it's just genetics, others blame bad luck. But the truth is deeper. In this video, we'll uncover 5 surprising reasons, ones that are often overlooked, that explain why it's so hard to preserve strength and health after 80. These reasons aren't what you usually hear. They're not about food, smoking, or exercise. They're quieter, more subtle, and they can affect even those who've done everything right. But there's good news. Once you understand them, you can work with them instead of against them. So if you've ever wondered why aging feels so heavy past a certain point, or how to protect yourself before it's too late, stay with me. These 5 hidden truths could change how you age while there's still time. Let's begin. Reason 1. The disappearance of microsocial moments. One of the earliest and most underestimated reasons why health starts to decline past 80 is the fading of what we might call microsocial interactions. I'm not talking about family gatherings or deep friendships, though those are vital too. I'm talking about the little things. Saying good morning to your barista, nodding to the guy walking his dog down the street in Eugene, Oregon, smiling at a stranger at the grocery store in Asheville. These seemingly small moments aren't just pleasant. They regulate your nervous system. They keep your social brain engaged. They remind your body you're still alive. You still matter. But after 80, those moments start disappearing. You might stop going out because your knees ache, or because ordering online is easier. Or maybe your hearing isn't what it used to be, so you avoid casual conversations altogether. And suddenly you're seeing fewer people, saying less, laughing less. You might not even realize it's happening. It just feels like life is simplifying. But beneath the surface, your nervous system is going quiet. I knew an old gentleman named Ernest from Boise, Idaho. He was 85 and still sharp as a knife. You know why? Every morning he walked to the same diner, ordered the same coffee, nodded to the same 3 folks walking by. Those 5 minutes, they were his anchor. They reminded his body, you're connected. You belong. When those moments vanish, your brain interprets it as stress. Inflammation rises, immune function drops, memory starts to falter, and little by little, you age faster, not just in body but in spirit. So if you've stopped chatting with strangers, or you feel invisible in your community, it's not a small thing. It's a signal. Even a short exchange, a smile, a nod, can be enough to tell your body you still matter. Reason 2. Overcaution and inactivity. The second reason is what I call the kindness trap. It's the idea that playing it safe is always wise. Of course, caution is important, but too much of it slowly takes your strength. It starts innocently. Maybe you tripped on your porch in Pasadena, or felt unsteady walking across a wet sidewalk in Portland. So you sit more. You stop bending to pick things up. You skip that short walk to the mailbox. And everyone around you praises it. Take it easy. Don't overdo it. But here's the hard truth. Movement is life. And when movement stops, everything, balance, coordination, confidence, begins to fade. I once met a man named Howard in Madison, Wisconsin. He was 82. One rainy evening, he slipped but wasn't hurt. Still, the fear stuck. He never walked at night again. Then he stopped walking during the day. Soon, even short steps became effort. The muscles that hold you up, your core, your legs, your stabilizers, they weaken shockingly fast when unused. And when they go, so does your independence. You don't need a gym membership, you don't need to run, but you do need to move. Stretch, reach, walk. Use your body, not because it's easy, but because it's how you stay alive. Because the real danger isn't falling. The real danger is not trying to stand. Walter used to take a short walk every evening. But then, without realizing it, he found himself simply sitting, night after night, in front of the TV. Within 6 months, he had lost nearly 10 pounds of muscle. His legs felt like cotton, weak, unsteady. His doctor had warned him, but the damage had already set in. The truth is, Walter didn't stop moving because he became weak. He became weak because he stopped moving. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore real risks. Caution is wise. Use grab bars. Wear shoes with solid grip. Keep your walkways clear. A cane, too, can be a lifeline. But there's a difference between managing risk and surrendering to it. When fear takes the wheel, the body begins to forget how to move altogether. So if you found yourself sitting more, not because you physically can't walk, but because you're afraid to, then this is your sign to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, am I truly protecting myself? Or am I quietly fading away? Because life after 80 is not just about avoiding a fall, it's about continuing to move, even if it's slower, gentler, more mindful. Motion is what reminds your body that it's still needed here. It's movement that keeps the systems running, the brain alert, and the heart beating with purpose. If you've stayed with me this far and these words resonate with you, write the number 2 in the comments, so I know you're with me. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I encourage you to hit that button and ring the bell so you won't miss the next chapter. Your support fuels the creation of heartfelt content made to inspire and uplift. Now let's continue. Let's talk about a silent disruptor, light. By the time we reach 80, our inner clocks, the circadian rhythms, become fragile. They rely on daylight to stay in tune. But when natural light fades from our daily lives and artificial screens fill our evenings, those rhythms fall out of sync. You may not even notice it at first. Maybe you've started napping in the afternoon sunlight. Maybe you rarely step outside anymore, especially in winter. At night, the television glows. The lights stay on. It feels cozy, familiar, but inside the body grows confused. Bright morning light tells your brain, wake up, it's time to move, it's time to live. And in darkness, the body releases melatonin, a gentle signal for rest and deep renewal. But when that balance breaks, when we don't get enough daylight and drown in evening glare, the consequences ripple. Sleep becomes lighter, more fragmented. You wake up tired, even after a full night's rest. Daytime energy fades. Focus becomes elusive. Long-term, this throws the immune system off course, unsettles the mood, and increases the risk of mental decline. And there's another thread in this tapestry, vitamin D. The body creates it when skin meets sunlight. But past 80, that ability weakens. Meaning, regular time outside isn't optional, it's essential. Bones, muscles, immunity, they all suffer without it. I remember Ellen, a woman in her mid-80s. She felt drained, sluggish and foggy. Her lab results were fine. Her diet hadn't changed. No new medications. The solution? Her doctor told her, sit by the window every morning for 20 minutes, curtains wide open. Turn off all screens an hour before bed. Within 2 weeks, her sleep deepened, her mood steadied, her memory returned. It wasn't a miracle drug, it was light. So if your days pass behind drawn curtains or your evenings glow blue from a phone or TV, maybe it's time to shift. Try stepping outside within the first hour after you wake, even if it's just your front porch or balcony. Let your eyes and skin remember the dawn, and at night, dim the lights. Let your body return to rhythm. Because aging isn't just wear and tear. It's also about chaos, disrupted signals, lost patterns. Restoring sleep, light, and rhythm isn't just about comfort, it's about survival. It's how we tell our bodies, even at 85, I'm still here, still walking forward. And now let's speak of something even deeper, emotions that never found their way out. By 80, most people carry more loss than they ever imagined possible. A spouse, a sibling, a best friend, even a child. And what remains isn't just grief, it's the habit of silence, of holding it in, of pretending everything's fine because you think you should be used to it by now. Or maybe because there's no one left who truly understands how much it hurts. But the body remembers. Unspoken grief doesn't vanish. It settles, in the chest, in the gut, in the bones. That's why so often, illness after 80 has an emotional root. Let's not be afraid to feel, to speak, to weep. Because healing starts there. Not in pills or checkups, but in connection. If you've read this far, I see you. You're still searching, still learning, still alive, and that in itself is a beautiful beginning. Over time, that invisible emotional load begins to shape the body. Immunity weakens, digestion falters, sleep becomes restless, hormones shift quietly, like a tide turning under a still ocean. The nervous system slips into a state of quiet alarm, chronic tension that doesn't scream, but whispers endlessly. From the outside, everything seems normal. A person might smile, say, I'm okay. But if their shoulders slump a little lower, if their breath grows shallow, if the spark disappears from their eyes, there may be an old sorrow buried deep, unspoken for years. I once knew a man named Charles. He was 86 and he'd spent 6 decades beside his wife. After she passed, he barely cried. Said it wasn't in his nature. Kept insisting he was just fine. But within a year, he had lost weight, stopped going to the senior center. His nights grew longer, sleep elusive. Not from illness, but from a grief the body carried in silence. Because pain that isn't released doesn't vanish. It hides. It coils inward, shaping illness in its image. Longevity isn't just about physical resilience. It's also about emotional release. The ability to grieve without shame. To say, I still miss you, I'm angry, I'm lonely, and not fear judgment. When sorrow has a safe way out, the heart breathes again. And when the heart breathes, healing begins. People who live long, fulfilling lives usually have an outlet. It might be a loyal friend, a worn leather journal, a quiet faith, a trusted therapist who helps untangle stories kept locked away for decades. The form doesn't matter, the expression does. What we voice can be transformed. What we suppress decays. So if you've been carrying something, not because you chose to, but because you didn't know where to place it, this may be your moment to make space. Not only for your emotions, but for life itself, because the heart can only carry so much before it begins to quietly shut its doors. And if you hope not just to reach 80, but to live through and beyond it, you must allow yourself to feel. If you've stayed with me this far, leave the number 4 in the comments. That's how I'll know you're still here listening. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next story. Your support helps us create heartfelt, meaningful content just for you. Now let's talk about another quiet truth. The 5th reason people fade after 80 is a gradual loss of daily purpose, not some grand philosophical reason for being. Just the small, everyday reason to wake up, to water the garden before the sun gets high, to leave food out for the stray cat that always waits by the door, to write a letter to a granddaughter, to oil the creaky gate. These aren't flashy moments, but they give rhythm. They give structure. They tell the mind and the body, you're needed today. When such little tasks disappear, the morning feels aimless, and the evening feels empty. Slowly, the body begins to listen to the mind's silence. Movement slows, appetite fades. The systems that once thrived begin to wait for a reason to turn back on. Sometimes it starts simply. Your weekly game night gets canceled. The church group no longer meets. Family visits less often. Your knees ache, so you stop volunteering. You tell yourself that's just age. But something inside you knows. The days have begun to blur. I once met a woman named Marlene. She was 78 and more alive than people half her age. She didn't have much money. Her health wasn't perfect. Her house was quiet. But every Monday she wrote cards to homebound parishioners. Every Thursday she made soup and froze it for the shelter. Every afternoon she sat by the window to watch the neighborhood kids come back from school. She waved. They waved back. It didn't look like much, but it was everything. It gave her days meaning. It gave her life a heartbeat. The truth is, the body stays alive as long as it believes it's needed. Even a simple task is fuel. It says, keep healing, keep thinking, keep moving. But when a person feels unneeded, when their presence seems irrelevant, the fire dims. That's why the strongest elders often have something. A ritual, a routine, a reason, a dog, a diary, a prayer, a phone call. The scale doesn't matter, the continuity does. The quiet knowledge that come morning, there's a reason to rise. So if your days have started to feel colorless, don't ignore it. It's not just fatigue, it's a signal. Your body is asking for rhythm, for connection, for purpose. Because real longevity isn't just about the heart beating, it's about the heart wanting to beat. And now a closing thought. People don't fade at 80 because of one dramatic event. Not a fall. Not a diagnosis, not a birthday. They fade because of quiet losses, the slow disappearance of habits, of structure, of belonging. But the return can be just as quiet. One walk outside, one chat with a neighbor, one light stretch, one act, not because you must, but because it brings back rhythm, meaning, and connection. So think about these 5 truths. Which one struck you most deeply? Which one felt familiar? And which one will you respond to today? You have more power than you think. Not to stop aging, but to reshape it. If you can stay present with small changes, hold on to your purpose, and give yourself space to feel, you won't just live to 80, you'll live through it, fully, deeply, on your terms. Thank you for joining us today. Share in the comments what insight you'll carry forward and how you plan to apply it. If this video spoke to your heart, please like it, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need its message. We'll see you in the next one.